G'day, I'm Patrick Phelps. Welcome to Made in Canterbury. I'm here at the Plinius and Context Engineering Factory, and we're about to find out how a local integrated system can produce a high-value product.
Plinius makes amplifiers, amongst other sound equipment. But a product like this doesn't just get chucked together.
The products are conceived here, they're designed here, and then they're fully manufactured here.
The parts are custom made in Context Engineering next door.
In the mechanical workshop, we make all kinds of mechanical components out of different types of metals and plastics and stuff for a really wide variety of people. Most of it goes into high-tech companies in New Zealand, and over 90% of what we make gets exported eventually by somebody. And we make over there also all the mechanical parts for the Plinius amplifiers. That's a really vertically integrated business that we run. Everybody on staff from degree qualified engineers, people with trade qualifications like NZCE, huge amount of experience is necessary. That's the main thing. You know, people talk about give me an engineer with 10 years experience. Well, to do that, you've got to wait 10 years. We can't grow people any faster than that. But the people here have had between 10 and 15 years experience. Some of the senior staff have got over 20 years experience.
Once the parts are made, they head over the road to have the metal anodised.
And what happens here is that aluminium has a film put on it, which is actually aluminium oxide. And the material that we're going to anodise starts a journey at this first tank down here, goes into various tanks along the way, getting etched and cleaned, gets some acid put through it, and finally it ends up in an anodising tank down there where a current gets passed through it, and that forms the film. It's an exactly controlled thickness and quality.
This is all part of the process. It might seem like a lot of work, but with work comes reward. You won't pick this equipment up for small change.
I guess you get something in New Zealand for around $4,500 Kiwi dollars retail, but then you can pay up to 18,000 for a really big amp.
The Plinius materials get made into speakers in a room of their own. We'll get there in a bit. But if it was just supplying Plinius, Context wouldn't have enough business to make it pay. The metal products supply other demands.
This is a product that you can see it's all been fully machined and turned, and then comes over here, gets anodised. That's a piece of lab equipment. It's used for counting nanoparticles, all made here, completely finished in New Zealand. And here is an example of a product that's made for a local jet boat motor manufacturer. This is used as the piece you hold in your hand to guide the boat. And there's an example of something that's done to a thickness to protect it in a salt atmosphere.
When the metal's ready, it goes into the factory to become Plinius sound equipment.
You can see that Sarah's working on stuffing some boards. They actually get done mechanically in a big machine outside, but there's some big components that have to go on manually. And on this side of the factory, the guys are actually putting the product together.
It's a team of 20 people to design, engineer and manufacture these products, 90% of which go overseas. So why make it here?
The truth of it is we're here in New Zealand because we started here in New Zealand. These sorts of business often started when there were all sorts of situations like border protection, tariffs that affected us being able to bring them in.
There are advantages to making it here in New Zealand. By making it here, they have staff employed for long periods of time who know the product and know the customer. The biggest challenge manufacturing faces at the moment is the high Kiwi dollar, and that affects the ability of the company to grow and employ greater numbers. He says his factory itself isn't hugely significant in the scheme of things, but there's a bigger picture.
What it represents is the tip of a little iceberg. And if we set up conditions where all of the people like us start to disappear, then we end up in a situation like they have in the United States and Britain, where the skills that they had were fantastic and they've really lost them all.
Once a company's established itself, it fosters the skill it needs. But should the company go, the skills follow.
You can see, you've been through this plant today, and you can see how complex it is, how the variety of skills and everything that we need to have on board. It takes years and years to build it, and it just takes a very short time to wreck it. And once it's gone, it won't come back.
Patrick Phelps, CTV News.